I recently noted that referential humor can be overbearing. In fact, referential jokes, or jokes where writers pull from pop culture references, are one of the weakest forms of comedy. If anything, references to movies, video games, or bad metal bands like Limp Bizkit can often just be very lazy comedic script writing. And while yes, there are often exceptions to this rule, like good spoof movies, solid sketch comedy, and referential humor with more comedic layers, referential humor by itself are just jokes that scrape at the bottom of the barrel. Hell, they can even be overused to the point of being cringe. Just like if a music producer wanted to create Macklemore Plus, it would be a streaming service about that flash-in-the-pan early 2010s hip-hop sensation Macklemore that exclusively streams all the relevant Macklemore content, which is all getting close to about a decade old, and will be sold at the great deal of $9.99, but can be bundled with Nickelback All Access for the brand-ass spanking new deal of $14.99, because that's the shit music lovers demand. Referential humor is honestly the uncontested layups of comedy, the gimmies of comedic script writing. See, it's fairly easy to research a thing in pop culture that audiences like or dislike and craft a zingy one-liner that refers to that pop culture item. And to explain why this is, let's use Avengers Infinity War and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as examples. In terms of Avengers Infinity War, the character of Tony Stark jokingly refers to an alien as Squidward, i.e. a character that is popular in pop culture due to being in SpongeBob. And in terms of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the film's antagonist, Dr. Robotnik, referred to the aforementioned Limp Bizkit in a negative light, because obviously they're everyone's favorite new metal disaster to dunk on. Hell, Korn, one of Limp Bizkit's way more talented peers, regretted the fact that they collaborated with Limp Bizkit for All in the Family, i.e. the only bad track on Korn's breakout success, Follow the Leader, which featured many great Korn classics like Freak on a Leash, Got to the Life, and Dead Bodies Everywhere, and also a song where Granddaddy Fred Durst is a prominent creative collaborator. And oof, it's pretty bad. But to get back on topic, I did admittedly chuckle a little bit at these jokes in these movies. I may have squealed in absolute delight at jokes denigrating the musicians behind the musical genius that is chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored water. But here is the thing, jokes that pull on pop culture references are overall pretty lazy. They rely on the source of the one-liner, which from my two examples ranges from SpongeBob or Limp Bizkit, to do all the heavy lifting of the joke. In fact, these jokes were already set up by the popularity of SpongeBob as a show and also a meme, as well as the complete cultural disdain for Limp Bizkit's discography. And both of these things have existed for decades, and in terms of Infinity War, all the joke had to do was point out that a villainous alien looked like a SpongeBob character, and in terms of Sonic 2, a character just had to declare that a certain situation was worse than Limp Bizkit. Though let's be honest, the scriptwriters of Sonic 2 could have just referred to the shit popsicle that was the first Sonic movie, and the point still would have been made. But regardless, these lines, while humorous on a surface level, are not exemplary comedic writing. These were not cleverly crafted bits of comedy with setups or payoffs, aside from just being quick one-liners. In fact, these movies have far more creative jokes, like the "Why is Gamora" joke in Infinity War, and the scene in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 where Knuckles believes Robotnik's robots are about to attack him, but soon realizes the robots were just creating a set of stairs. These scenes, including the Infinity War one that had some actor improvisation, had a lot of visual storytelling and character payoffs instead of feeling the need to pull from the well of pop culture osmosis. These jokes in these films played with our expectations in visual storytelling as a medium. After all, in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, we expect Robotnik to betray Knuckles at this point, but it's funny when Knuckles realizes that Robotnik is helping him at the moment by offering him a set of stairs. And in terms of Infinity War, we expect an average scene where Peter Quill talks with Iron Man about Gamora, but the scene becomes funny because the "Why Gamora" line from Drax is so in character yet ridiculous that it's just hilarious. And as a result, these scenes were far funnier than Iron Man's or Robotnik's pop culture infused one-liners in those movies. They were far more creative character and situation-based jokes. Admittedly, referential humor can still be funny. As I said, I still chuckled at the Squidward and the Limp Bizkit references, and a lot of pop culture referential humor in movies are often tied to character-based things. For example, MCU Spider-Man makes a lot of damn movie references, one of which where he referred to The Empire Strikes Back as an old movie. But these jokes often had more going for them than just being references. In terms of The Empire Empire Strikes Back line, the joke was more about making fun of Tony Stark's and the audience's age, rather than just being a quip that solely rides on pop culture knowledge. The joke had more dimension than just being a reference. Another example of this can be found earlier in this very video. Remember when I went on that long, seemingly unrelated tangent about Macklemore Plus? Well, I was doing that to prove a point. See, I was making a referential joke clowning on Macklemore, which is pretty popular to do these days. But with that being said, the Macklemore Plus joke had more comedic layers than just being a simple referential joke. Because truly, I'm not just making fun of Macklemore here. I'm riffing on the overabundance of streaming services that offer minimal to no interesting content, yet still want to charge you a premium monthly fee for, where the companies behind it pretend it's a good deal. Hell, I even added the bundle option, which is something that Disney does with the fucking 3 streaming services that it owns. And because of this, the joke had layers other than the fact that the idea of Macklemore Plus is inherently silly. There was dimension. Then there's comedy sketches and spoof movies, things that deliberately refer back to pop culture by design, but offer a bit of worthwhile deconstruction of the source media in a way that is often inventive and creative. But with those caveats out of the way, pop culture referential one-liners are fairly cheap and should not be heavily relied upon. They should be healthily interspersed throughout the movie with other types of jokes. For sure, referential humor has its place. It can be useful in a quick pinch and can add a laugh where there wasn't one before. But make no mistake, referential witty remarks are rarely ever better than a well-constructed scene with a comedic setup and payoff. They don't have anywhere near the same effort, and it does not compare. In my eyes, good layered writing is still queen. And with that, that was the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like rating, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and leave a comment telling me what you think of referential humor. Also, please consider checking out my Patreon page. $1 a month gets you onto my Discord server, and $5 a month allows you to start making review requests. The link to my Patreon is in the description. And speaking of Patreon, I just want to thank my patrons, particularly my high tier ones in David, Samantha, Devlin, Mom, and Morgan. Thank you so much for supporting what I do. Love y'all.